What's up, millennials? Does smart glass lead to healthier and more productive employees? In exchange for your time and hopefully a comment as well, that is the question that we are going to try to answer today. Before we do so, make sure to check out my Stock O'Clock videos. These are very short 1-minute videos that I post every single trading day with news about the stock market. Also, did you know that I offer a free Discord channel? If you go to nesami.com/discord and you leave your name and email address, you'll get access to it. And lastly, keep in mind, don't trust me, verify me. I'm just a random dude on the internet. I'm not a financial advisor, so always check what I am doing. Today we're going to take a look at 3 different studies. First of all, we're going to take a look at a more or less general study to see what employees find important in an office. Then we're going to take a look at a more specific study to see what the impact is of smart glass on your well-being. And finally, we're going to take a look at a case study where employees went from an office without smart glass to an office with smart glass from view to see what the benefits were for them. As always, I'm going to put all the sources in the description so you can check out the articles and the case studies for yourself as well. I'm going to try to go through these studies a little bit quickly to just get you the most important points of each study, right? So let's take a look first at the most general study, if you will. This was a survey of 1,601 professionals that were working in a corporate office environment. And they basically looked at questions like what matters most to these employees in an office space? What makes them exactly the most happy, right? Remember, here we're not talking about smart glass just yet. We're just taking a look at the general factors that employees find important. Because according to a study, if employees are more satisfied, then they are also 16% more productive, 18% more likely to stay at the same business, and 30% more attracted to the company over competitors, right? I think especially the first 2 points are very interesting for businesses, so that people are more productive and that they are more likely to stay. If you look at the productivity example, for example, well, if you are more productive, you can get more revenue in the same amount of time, right? I personally worked in a translation agency, and we usually had to work about like 8 hours, 7.5 hours to get about 2,000 words translated in one day. Now, you could say, for example, that with smart glass, you become more productive. So say you can translate like 2,500 words instead of 2,000 words in one day. That means that the translation agency actually gets more revenue in the same amount of time. And the second point is also important, that they're more likely to stay, right? Because that means that agencies, businesses, have to spend less time on hiring new people, that they have to spend less time on training new employees. So that is another way to save time and therefore save money as well. Here we can see a list of the most important wellness factors, if you will, according to these employees. As you can see, the air quality was actually the most important one, but we can also see some of the highlighted things like comfortable light, comfortable temperatures, a connection to nature, and technology-based health tools. Especially the first 2, so the comfortable light and a comfortable temperature, are things, of course, that are important to employees, but are also things that could actually be achieved thanks to smart glass. And if your office is in the middle of the nature, then thanks to smart glass, you can also have more connection to the nature, right? Because else, if you just have normal glass with windows, with curtains, with blinds, then you don't really have that connection to nature. If you have a lot of sun coming in, for example, with smart glass, you can still have that connection to nature. The second study is already a little bit more specific, and here they look at the difference between employees who are working in an office with normal glass versus employees working in an office with smart glass, right? So they did this study in 7 offices in 5 different cities across North America. They looked at 313 total office workers, and they also looked at 2 offices with normal windows and blinds and 5 offices with smart glass from view. The expert that conducted this study seems like a real expert to me, to be honest with you. He is called Alan Hedge, and he is a professor emeritus at the Department of Design and Environmental Analysis at the Cornell University, right? He's directed the human factors and ergonomics teaching. He's written a lot of book chapters. He's written a lot of articles. So I do think that he is some kind of expert on this topic. So what this professor tried to study was the so-called computer vision syndrome, also called the digital eye strain. Basically means that you're looking at a computer screen all day, and then that makes you have eye strain, it makes you have a blurred vision, double vision, and even headaches as well. And the thing is, if you have direct glare from sunlight or indirect glare from sunlight, but through computer screens, for example, then that can increase the risk of that so-called computer vision syndrome. So that's also where the smart glass from View comes into play, right? Because if you have smart glass, that can actually deflect the sunlight, the indirect glare from sunlight. So that is pretty good. And as you can see, according to this study with smart glass, the employees from the offices with smart glass experienced 51% reduced eye strain. If you scroll down, they also experienced 63% fewer headaches and 56% less drowsiness. And then the last study is an interesting case study where they try to determine or investigate the impact of smart glass on the satisfaction of employees, but also the psychological perception of employees. And they did that actually by comparing the same group of people in two different offices. So here you have a picture of the building that they were located in Toronto, Canada. And they were relocated from the 12th floor of this building with just normal windows and normal blinds to the 17th floor of the same building with smart glass from View, right? Or as they call it, electrochromic glazing as a testbed for future renovations. And they performed this study with 17 employees. They all received questionnaires, and well, here you have a picture of these employees. Kind of looks like a bunch of criminals with that black bar before their eyes, but okay. You can't really see the View glass very well, but on the upper two pictures you can see the blinds and normal windows, and here in the lower two pictures you can see smart glass, but yeah, they decided to focus a little bit more on the employees and the plans than on the View glass. Before we look at the results of this study though, I would actually take a look at the authors of this study as well, because I think there is something important to take into account here. First of all, we see two people, Jun-Hon Choi and Vivian Lofness. These are from the School of Architecture at their universities. But then you have two people that are important to note, Danny New and Brandon Tinianov. And these are actually employees, or, well, Danny New was an employee of View, but these were employees of View. So that could mean that these articles, this study is a little bit biased. The results of this study can be found on page 7 of this study, of this article, and we see a few interesting things to talk about. First of all, we can see all the items that were mentioned in the questionnaire that was given to the 17 employees from that office. And we can see here, first of all, the column of the blinds, so the normal windows plus blinds in spring, and here the results of the dynamic glass in spring, summer, and winter. So I think the best comparison you can do is to look at the blinds spring and the dynamic spring to get the best comparison, so that's in the same season, right? So that the summer doesn't really affect the results. So we're just looking at the same season, the spring season. Let's just take a quick look at some of these examples, some of these items. For example, the lighting and window view to the outside, you can see that there's an increase for the dynamic glass. Quality of light, overall lighting also increases. Daylight in my view helps me to relax. I like my view out of my windows. Daylight in my view boosts my alertness. All of these have better grades, better numbers for dynamic glass compared to the normal glass. If you want to look at these results a little bit more detailedly, then I would suggest to go to the link in the description to actually see these results for yourself, right? But the thing is, my problem, if you will, is that these are all opinions of employees. These are all rather subjective, I would say. Personally, I would rather see a way more objective study. If you go back to the example of a translation agency, you could ask yourself, for example, well, how many words were translated? So you have a more objective view of what's going on. Or how many sick days did people take? But these things like, well, daylight in my view boosts my alertness or makes me feel happier, it's all rather subjective in my opinion. I will say though that these results do give you a positive indication, of course, of what the results could be in an objective study as well. And on top of that, I think that if employees feel healthier, if they feel happier as well, they will probably be healthier and more productive and more likely to stay at a company as well. So based on these studies, we can say that employees think that the light, temperature, and access to nature is actually very important to them in an office environment. And smart glass can definitely help with that. Smart glass can also reduce the computer vision syndrome, so that employees get less eye strain, less headaches, etc. And people that are in an office with smart glass from view feel happier, feel healthier, and feel more productive as well. So I do think that businesses and employers could actually be convinced that smart glass is a good option for them and a good investment as well, because it might cost you a little bit more, but you get healthier and more productive employees in return. And that's just the health aspect, right? Because you can also take a look at the energy savings aspect as well, which we're probably going to do in a later video. So I do think smart glass could actually be a good option for offices, but I'm not very convinced that health benefits and productivity benefits are actually going to be very good arguments for people like you and me to get smart glass in our own homes. I do understand that people are going to work more and more from home, so they do actually want to get more productive, want to be healthier as well in their own homes, but I'm just not entirely sure if people are just going to buy smart glass for their own house. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what kind of strategy they are going to implement for residential application of their smart glass. So what do you think? Do you also think that health benefits could actually be a good argument for businesses to install smart glass in their own offices? And do you believe that people like you and me are going to install smart glass in their own homes as well? Let me know in the comments. And with that being said, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.